one, go. It was almost perfect. Good morning, happy Monday. It is that day. It is day 5 as we count down to my last day with the Toronto Police Service. That's right. I will no longer be a police officer as of the end of the day, Friday. It's weird. Joining me in studio very shortly. Joining me in studio right this second. He's there. I see him. He closed the door. The sign that says live is now being published to the world who walk by. DC Peter de Cuento.
Good morning. Oh, we're going to put my slider out.
Yes, put that slider to the top because you deserve it. We have been spending time. Why is it not working? Why is live? Hold on a second. Did something not happen that needed to happen? Hang on a second. Let me have a look. My bad. Copy and pasting the stream key into Instagram. Come on, Instagram. You can do it. Here we go. Click the button. Calmly wait for it to change. There we go. Knew we could do it. Save. There we go. Okie dokie. The folks that missed everything I just said on Instagram. Well, they didn't care anyway.
You didn't miss much.
They didn't miss much. One more second, I'll be back in business. Pressing save. So weird. Why did it? Oh well. I got a warning message about vertical versus horizontal, and I assumed it was because Instagram was there, but whatever. We made it work. Hope you had a great weekend. What did you do on the weekend? I am absolutely... Well, you went to Fan Expo, which is why the Fan Expo... There we go live. That's why the Fan Expo intro, the video... You can't see it on TikTok, but we could see it on YouTube and all the other platforms. It was Fan Expo inspired. What was your weekend like?
Fan Expo. 5 hours of nothing but nerding out with fellow nerds. Nerding out with nerds? Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah.
With fellow nerds. It's the best way to nerd out.
It was awesome. Took my family for the first time. We had done the Niagara Falls Comic-Con as a sampling, getting their toes wet, right?
You introduced them so as to not have them go into shock.
Correct, because Fan Expo is very large, lots of people.
Mm-hmm.
It was different. It was good. We had lots of nerds eating nerds. Is that a thing?
So you told me about this. They had gummy nerds?
Yeah, so they had gummy cluster nerds, which I'm going to tell you, if you're into nerds at all, this is not a promo for nerds, but nerds and nerd rope is like the greatest thing ever created by nerds.
Nerd rope is something I'd never heard of at all whatsoever.
The first time I ever discovered nerd ropes was probably like 10 years ago at Marineland, of all places. It was in the shop. There's not a heck of a lot going on in Marineland, especially now. But there was nerd rope. And we bought it. And we're like, well, what's this about? And nerd rope. It's awesome. Yeah, they were handing out nerds. My family came home with a whole bunch of Squishmallows.
Are they called Squishmallows?
Squishmallows.
Okay.
They were handing out Squishmallows, right?
I don't know. My kids like these puffy balloon
Squishmallows.
pillows.
Squishmallows. They're
dolls.
the modern day version of, what was those things before? Beanie Babies. That's all.
That's what it is? It's a modern Beanie Baby?
I think it's a fat. Sorry, I'm sure to the company it's a great product.
Somebody just got offended.
They're cool. Don't get me wrong. Each one has its own name and its little background story.
Okay, yeah, I can see that being a Beanie Baby-esque thing.
Kind of thing. And yeah, they were giving them away for free. Essentially, went into machines and took them out. So my kids had a field day with that kind of stuff. I just go for the artist alley because I like one-offs. I buy Star Wars stuff. In case you don't know,
you like Star Wars stuff? Yeah. Come on.
The Star Wars cop isn't just a title. It's kind of how I live my life.
Yes.
So, I like going to the artist alley because I like buying one-offs. And I love hearing people's personal story of why they created and this and that. And we bought some cat stuff.
Cat?
They're cat art.
Oh, the kitty art. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And one of them I ended up buying because my wife loved the story about how this woman the artist shared that one of the cats in this 2-cat thing. It's Ray and BB-8. The cat that's in BB-8, you see its little face, was named Pumpkin, and it was her first cat or her last, or whatever, her cat at the time. So
Immortalized.
yes, so we had to get Pumpkin, which is actually BB-8, and Ray. I got a Chewbacca. I got a few of them. I bought one for a friend. I know she's not watching, but Vicky, I already started your Christmas gift. So yeah. I used to work with a lady. Awesome.
Named Vicky, apparently.
Named Vicky when I was a school resource officer. We used to make a Star Wars breakfast. If you don't know
which is why you have a toaster.
Correct. If you don't know what a Star Wars breakfast is, you can probably still Google my breakfast. But they were me with a staff member, and we have like Stormtrooper head, Darth Vader head, and a Death Star. And they pop out toast and blazing with the Imperial logo, Star Wars, or TIE fighters on them. It was an epic program. We ran it for years, and yeah.
Saying hello to my wife.
Oh,
if
hello.
you didn't know, that's my wife.
LEO wife?
Leo, law enforcement officer wife.
Yeah. I see that. It's the coin you created.
That's right. Yeah, well, she created. So it was all her. Raising money for police stuff.
We said good morning today, so I'm hoping I'm in your good books again.
Yes.
I didn't overlook you.
I called him out for ignoring you last time.
I apologize.
It's okay. It's all water under the bridge. Kalo can't be here tomorrow because he'll be in hospital row-out day. That's no fun. I hope you're feeling better. Well, actually, this is a somewhat regular thing. You're doing your thing, but I still hope you feel better. We got Julie. I've been silently acknowledging people by putting them on screen. I'm kind of jealous that Brandon's at Daytona Speedway right now.
Well, I'm like, Julie, when you sent this message, did you not realize I was
You may
here?
not have been in the room.
Okay.
This happened
that's cool,
at
Julie. That's cool,
10:04. I think you walked in at like 10:04 and like 15 seconds
We're
later.
okay, Julie. We're okay.
Brandon wants to know, does Star Wars Cop carry a lightsaber? If so, what color?
So I don't commonly carry one. I have been seen in uniform.
Have you really?
One. Yeah, I have a lightsaber hilt and all that. I wore one. So I did a big helmet giveaway in May, and I wore one on my hip. So yeah, and it changes. I'll be honest with you. It's a mood thing. It's like a mood ring.
It's a mood ring. It's a mood
like a mood
saber.
ring. Yeah. So it could be purple. Could be red, blue, green.
Well, hang on
I have
a
a
second.
gold one, the Ray one as well.
A gold one?
Yeah, Ray's is gold. Yeah.
Now,
Do
you have one of the aftermarket? Are yours all Star Wars, or did you get any of the sabers that the folks who are really into sabers get? The aftermarket.
No, I don't have any of those NeoPixel ones.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
They're awesome. The price is like exorbitant.
Come on, how much?
Oh, you can go like 1,000 plus.
Come on.
They're beautiful. There was at Fan Expo, there must have been like at least, I don't know, half a dozen plus retailers of selling different lightsabers. So I never know which one's supposed to be the better product. I like some of their hilts are really basic. Some have really fancy hilts. But all mine are, for the most part, are Black Series, or they're the Galaxy's Edge ones. So like Disney official, whatever, like outside of Hasbro. And then I have a custom made one that I made one in Galaxy's Edge.
On the trip that we talked about.
Yes, to Disney.
Yes.
So, very cool experience. Just realize you're coming home with a bunch of fancy plastic parts and not like metal, but it's cool.
If they had a metal one, would you buy it?
If I could build a metal one I'll tell you. So I've never even put my Galaxy's Edge one on display. Every other one's on display. I don't like that. It kind of feels, it's a really great experience. And don't get me wrong. And Disney, if you ever wanted to, like, I don't know, fly me out there to do this again, I would be awesome with that. Not kidding. But I didn't find the hilt itself, the quality is not, it's cool. It's cool. It's a pre-made one. You choose one of 4 different things, and then you make one. And then there's some like slight different parts. Like the bottom mine has a.
You put your own pixel.
Like,
you
can put your own bantha tooth. Oh yes, you also choose your crystal. But
that changes the color.
Yeah. How would you take it out? I don't know. Like you could also take the blade off and all that kind of stuff. And it's cool. They give you a sheath and all that. Like to put it in, and then you like walk around like you're about to fight at any moment.
Wow. I just like the sound effects.
Yeah, and then then you question like, can I get on an airplane with this? But then you see like 10 other guys like yourself there with their kids, and everyone's got a lightsaber. And you're like, yeah, we're good.
And just because I saw this message, are my tax dollars going towards this? That's Haley who'd like to know. And yes, indeed, your tax dollars are going to this. But you know why? Because after we stop talking about lightsabers, we're going to talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And that's what really we're here for.
Thanks for asking, Haley.
But I appreciate your concern. And now back to our show. I wanted to build droids, and they're very expensive. I know you built the droids. We talked about this.
Yes, don't build the droids.
Don't build the droids.
Don't build the droids. So Haley, the reason we do this is also it creates an opportunity for folks to realize that we're human beings.
Get to know the people behind the answers.
Yeah, and so that people can make that connection. I also have other social media channels, just like Sean does, and this is how we connect with people. It's about personal things. If we just talked about policing all day, people may also get a little bit bored of that. So this gives an opportunity to connect on a different level. But once again, thanks, Haley.
Yes, again, much appreciated. Kayla's talking about coming by on Wednesday for Montreal smoked meat sandwiches for lunch. That's possible.
I always like a good walk.
Yes, we do the walk. We have to walk. Our lunch is our walk. Gonna miss you, Officer Shapiro. That's from Ronnie79. Thanks so much, Ronnie. Like we were talking about, I'm still going to be voiceover cop, so you can always get me there. And during the transition period, while we get the things all get you up to speed, get Peter up to speed, you can ask me questions there. I'm happy to help you out.
I hope you miss me too, Ronnie. When I leave the show 2 weeks later, but
2 weeks later. High hopes, we got high hopes. Okay, what do we got here? We got Star Wars dad jokes for later. We won't ruin the surprise. Liz says Star Wars cop specifically for you. I know that you were off for a while due to an injury. May I ask what happened?
Sure, you can. Pretty open about it. I talk about it on my own social media all the time. I blew out my right knee stupidly on my own time. I blew out my right knee, and I'm in a long recovery. It gets better. I talk about mental health on an often thing because I'll tell you when it originally happened. A lot of dark days around it because I'd gone into a surgery which I was told was going to be 20 minutes. And even as it was being rolled in by the surgeon, he said, I want you to come out of this. You're going to walk, take the stairs. Just ask you don't do any vigorous exercise for 4 weeks. To waking up an hour and a half later, totally groggy. My leg is completely locked down. Told I can't use it at all for 6 weeks minimum. And they hope they save my knee.
And you were in a wheelchair for a while. Like, it was serious.
Yeah, I was in a wheelchair, moved to crutches, then a cane. I can tell you last summer I would have been using a cane on certain days. I coached baseball, kids baseball, and I would have been walking around with a cane at times and stuff. So,
well, mine was a motorcycle collision. So here are 2 injured guys. I would never have assumed that I would be 5 years later, still messed up, still recovering slowly. Like we take for granted when you were young that we heal so quickly. And as older guys, and sometimes just depending on the nature of your injury, it's a long road, and maybe you don't recover.
Oh, 100%. When I first hurt my knee, I thought, whatever. I always bounce back. It's not the first time I've hurt my knee, and or hurt myself, not my knee. Yeah.
But also, policing tends to be a high-risk situation. We're very physical. Yours was off-duty, but very, very often we hurt ourselves just in the course of doing our job.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. It's something that you have to consider when you get involved in policing. Tracy says, good morning. Good morning to you. Liz says, nerding out with kinfolk. Emma says, happy Monday. Is Monday ever happy? I was not prepared to wake up at 4 a.m. this morning, but I did it anyway.
It's one step closer to Friday, I guess.
Yes. We got here... Q says, good morning, sirs. Sean, congratulations on your retirement and good luck on your future endeavors. Haven't heard from you in a long time, Q. Hope you're doing well. Star Wars joke for later. We got that flagged. What is this? If I cross, I guess this is questions. We'll get into questions because why not? That's what we're here for. Lita, I don't know how to pronounce your, is it Shahe? Maybe. If I cross red light by mistake, can be disputed for the first time. So you run a red light, failing to stop for a red light at an intersection, but you didn't really mean it. Did you still run the red light?
Yes.
Yes. Could you dispute it? Well, you can ask for forgiveness. You can ask for a reduction. But to say that you didn't do it is what a dispute is. Like, if you said you didn't mean it, but you did it, means you did it. So you're still guilty of it. You could ask for a reduction. You could ask for something else. You can plead guilty to a lesser and included offense, so you have less of an impact on your license. They may choose to let you do that. They may not. But you're still guilty. Unless you have a defense for saying you didn't do it, which is an entirely different thing, and that's not what you asked about.
What if you're being chased by, I don't know, a T-Rex? It's Jurassic Park.
I think if you have a T-Rex, and you have to have proof. Proof, photos, or it didn't happen. Right Track Racing says, good morning, TSV. You guys look beautiful today. It's our matching shine. It is the glow that we have from the large overhead light. But thank you very much. Right Track Racing is an amazing thing. It's really Blaze from the Toronto Police Service, who has built a drag racing car. Looks like a Mustang, has a different power plant, but it goes fast in a straight line. And he does this to educate about taking it to the track, being a
Very cool.
Doing it the safe way. You want to go fast, no problem.
I thought
Do
his
it right.
reference to looking beautiful today is because we made sure the dress the same.
Yes, well,
We're matchy match.
Sometimes we we're twinsies. We sometimes on occasion you coordinate.
Yeah. Came in today. What are you wearing today? Yeah. And
And there we are.
Yeah.
We got. Oh, and my wife confirms we are all good. You have acknowledged her, and all is forgiven.
Thank you.
So, a different way of asking the question we've discussed before. How many over the speed limit is worthy of pulling over? So you've broken the law at 1 kilometer over the posted limit. 1 kilometer. Wait, I can try this camera 2 thing. Can I do it? Oh, that's mini me. Hang on.
There you go.
1 kilometer over the posted limit.
In the transition of me slowly trying to take over the show, we're discovering new things we can do with the cameras.
Well, I knew it was here. I just didn't have any call to use it. It's just so, you know how it is. As we're discussing, what does that do? That's what that does. I entertain myself on a regular basis. Yes. Okay. Here we go. But back to no. I don't want that. I want this chat. Okay. Bingo bango. Here we go. Oh, so we never did answer the question. I just talked about the fact that it's against the law. Okay, let's go back to this question. So what is worthy? Well, it depends on the context of where you are. If you are in a 100 zone, 1 kilometer over the posted limit, nobody's interested in. I can tell you that for certain. In fact, 1 kilometer over in any zone, I don't think anybody's interested in. But there is a threshold, and every police officer is going to be different. Did you have a threshold?
I did have a threshold. I would have told you, depending to where you were. So if you were in a school zone and it's like a posted 30, for instance, and you're doing 41, I likely would have pulled you over. In general, I would have told you my threshold was 16. Reason being 16 over is automatically 3 points, and we're going to court because it's a serious offense at that point. You're going to get points on your driver's license. It's going to affect your insurance. And to me, you should have known at that point. This isn't, I didn't realize that it was, gone to a 50 to a 40 or whatever. It's already substantially over. So my threshold in general was 16 over. But I knew other officers who were either, in general, in or around that, maybe slightly higher. But it depends to where you are. And like if you're on a major roadway or whatever, as opposed to a residential street, where the threshold is
huge
lower.
Difference. So if you're there for a purpose, if it's a school zone, 100%, it's a lower threshold. So if you're doing 10 over in a 30, you're doing 40 in a 30, I'm pulling you over because it's a 30, folks. And there's no excuse for doing 40 in a 30. If you're doing 10 over in a 60, the percentage over the speed limit is less. I'm looking probably for 15 over in a 60. But I am going to pull you over at 15 over. And if you're doing 20 over, like I used to do, like if you were 19, between 15 and 19, I'd reduce it to 15. And if you were 20 and above, you were getting 20 and above. You're getting the actual speed.
I would have told you in general, I don't reduce.
I didn't reduce towards, as things went on. But in the beginning, that was my way of doing it. And then as people... It was just so common to make excuses for speeding, and people will still fight a ticket that you've reduced.
Yep.
So I'm like, I don't reduce anything.
And just so you know, if you fight a reduced ticket in court, it goes back to the original.
It can.
Yeah. Like it can go back to the original, which I always appreciate when people are like, I'm going to dispute this ticket. We fight to get it lower. I already gave you a roadside reduction. Chances are we can then just take it back to the original, and you'll end up with what I would have given you to begin with. But now you've wasted your time coming to court. And it's no sweat off my back, but it's your own personal decision. That's why I got away from reductions, was because
100%.
People were taking me to court anyways. I'm like, no.
My big story when I stopped reducing everything was I'd stopped a woman for doing for stunt driving. She was stunt driving in a 50 zone. She was doing 93 and a 50, I think.
Ooh.
93 and a 50. That makes
43
sense.
over. Yep. 93 and a 50. It's 43 over.
No, I know, but I'm trying to remember if it was maybe it was a 40 zone, because I think it was before they changed it. I think it must have been a 40 zone.
Okay.
Just off of Yonge Street, Yonge and Finch area. And yeah, so I could have seized their vehicle, and I'd never seen crocodile tears like that. Like it was just mascara everywhere. It's my second day of work. I'm really nervous. I was already late yesterday. That's why I did it. And they cried such an ugly cry that I bought the story and I reduced it down, not to take their car, not to have them lose their ability to get to work. Like I really got suckered because they still went to court and they still fought the reduced. I reduced it by like enough kilometers so that they just didn't count as stunt driving. So if it was 49 over, I charged them 4 instead of 50. So it wasn't a big reduction. However, I would never do that again.
So don't give an ugly cry, only beautiful cries.
No, it doesn't matter what you do. You can pee yourself. I'm not giving you a reduction. Like I don't care. But anyway, that's no longer my problem because I won't be a cop after Friday. It's no longer a question I have to make. I have to come to a conclusion, a decision as to how to charge. I will not charge anyone anymore. You guys are lucky. I was always talking about getting better and getting back on the road, and enforcing, the Shapiro way. And yeah, it's not going to happen anymore. And that dream is over. But it is something I enjoyed doing. Was really getting out there and holding people accountable for their choices. I miss that. Okay, so the answer to that question is depends. Okay, are the bright lights under my truck illegal? Bright lights under a truck, I would say that's a problem, because it would be that you're emitting a tremendous amount of light in any direction because you have described them as bright. If they were faint lights, if they were low-powered glow sources that were only bouncing light off the ground, I probably wouldn't have a problem with them. That said, I would probably not make them anything other than amber because that's the only light you can emit in all directions. Everything else has restrictions. So if your light is bright and you're projecting it outward, you're going to get headlight tickets. I would charge you 100%.
I agree.
You ever come across some underglow that's just unbearable?
I would say in general, most folks who are into that, it's not so bad.
If the bulbs are visible, it's a problem for me. If the bulbs are not visible and you're just showing them
it down to the
But
ground.
again, this is another situation of discretion and interpretation. Sergeant Campbell will, if he sees the light, he believes that's projection because it's hitting his eyes, not reflection, which is how I interpret it. So we have a difference of opinion. We do not agree on that. He would charge, I would not, if it's simply reflected off the ground. But if I see the bulbs, that's projection. I would then charge them. What kind of gun do they carry? Neither of us carry anything right now. But the issued sidearm for the Toronto Police Service and for many police services is the Glock Model 22, which is chambered in .40 caliber Smith & Wesson.
Correct. Depending, if you're in a specialized unit, you can get slightly different firearms.
True. The only other sidearm is
they have the mini Glocks.
The mini is for plainclothes duty, and then oddly enough, the ETF still carries a 9mm, I believe, sidearm. A Glock 17, I would imagine, but I can't confirm that. I've never worked for the ETF. They have to be far too physically fit.
On a regular basis, I would have said at home I carry a Nerf.
Nerf is very good. I like Nerf.
I like the Rival series.
Oh, is that the balls?
Yeah, so much better than the darts.
Never tried it. I'm coming over to your place. We're going to play with balls.
Something I went through COVID. I just bought so many of them.
Really?
Oh.
Okay.
I have a small armory downstairs of just Nerf. I don't actually have any real firearms. I just have Nerf.
It's safer that way.
I have like the ones that curve and stuff. So if you went around the corner, there's a ton of them.
Is it turn the barrel or does it actually spin the ball?
It spins because of the way it kind of comes. It's hard to explain to the uninitiated. I have like Nerf barricades. Oh yeah, we have weight. Yeah,
your place sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was because my partner at the time was really big into Nerf, and I'm like, come on, man, I don't got time for Nerf.
And then you got exposed
then
to
it's
it.
Nerf or nothing. However, I will say Zuru. I don't know how they pronounce it. They make some very cool guns. They have like these giant Gatling guns. Yeah, it's
really.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have to go down this rabbit hole another day. What's the craziest vehicle you've ever seen on the road? Craziest vehicle? We're talking about a psychological. Cool? I don't know.
Because I've seen like the Brampton Batman, the Batmobile, the 19.
You've seen that on the road?
Yeah, he drives it around.
But you've been one. Oh, you've seen it.
Yeah. I've seen him. I've seen him drive through the neighborhood before.
Is that Batman 1 original?
So Batman 1989, Michael Keaton Batman.
That's the right Batman.
Yes, with like the pacifier out front. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's to me that's the best Batmobile. I've seen that thing on the road. It's incredible. So that would be, I guess, the craziest.
I mean,
It's a cool vehicle. Like, I don't know how else to, like, that catches your eye.
it compared to the Cybertruck. I mean,
Yeah, I feel for anybody who buys a Cybertruck.
I really want one. I really want one.
I want one too. You can get the remote control one.
Okay.
Probably just as long lasting, less rust spots. I'm kidding, Elon. I'm kidding.
Don't ban him, Elon. We need X. It's a useful platform.
It's a great vehicle. It's what everyone should have.
Oh, too funny. Iron Neck Mike says, "You're the best, Sean." Thank you very much. He's not that bad either, though. You know.
Thanks, Iron Neck. I'll go by Sean next week.
Yes, change your name to. The Grinch says, "Good morning. Good morning to you." And everyone seems to be thanking Haley for paying their taxes.
Haley's got more attention today than she probably has in a long time on her social media.
My.
I'm not trying to be rude, Haley.
No.
Not trying to be rude.
Stan wants to know if they can check their blood sugar when an alarm goes off when I drive. So that's an interesting because there are meters that report to the phone, right? So is that permissible use? And what I'm going to do, because that's
a very niche.
There's a lot of exceptions.
Very specific question. Wow.
Well, if you get into the nuts and bolts of it, there are some exceptions for like vehicle.
But Stan, would you be able to still pull over in a safe manner to get yourself somewhere?
That would be a good solution.
That would be the ideal solution. Because if that alarm goes off, I'm like, and no kidding aside, I'm sure you could wait a second to safely pull over, I would imagine, and get yourself into a safe place where because I assume if it's going off, you might have to take care of it. I don't want you to be doing that while you're driving. So I would imagine you could pull over into a safe place and take care of, the situation, whether or not, like, whatever that monitor is telling you. Yeah. But that's a very specific question.
So exemptions for law enforcement, exemptions for other enforcement, exemptions for certain evaluation and monitoring functions. So this is drivers employed by or on contract to a road authority and engaged in collecting data and viewing pavement valuation indices, may drive, okay, blah, blah, blah. Persons appointed as spectrum management officers, persons employed or contracted telecommunications enterprises engaged in monitoring service levels, persons employed in automobile technicians and mechanics may test drive a motor vehicle with a computer display screen. I don't see anything about medical devices or phones. Exemptions for other public functions. The following persons, while engaged in the performance duties, may drive. So that's persons contracted by a public utility, persons contracted by a transmitter or distributor, persons contacted by road. We talked about that. Drivers of motor vehicles may consume. Drivers of motor vehicles clearly identified as courier delivery vehicles may use two-way radios. I think that's what that is. Mobile data terminals, specifically, not two-way.
That's going to be way too specific for the...
I know. But I think that if it displays it on the lock screen and says you have an alarm, if you don't have to drill down, that you might be able to look at the screen legally. But I don't know that for certain. I'm going to continue looking. So taxi cabs and limousine licensed by a municipality can see a data terminal. Roadside assistance service vehicles can look at a data terminal. Well, no, I think you're in a weird space. Yeah. That's law. Yeah. I don't see anything else. I will look into this more later because there's pages of it. And I don't think anybody else cares about what this is. I just think it's cool to look it up. But I'm going to say that you're not specifically, but if you were to be able to verify that you had a medical alert that went off, I think that most police officers would say, I get you. Like if I saw you doing something and you had the sensor on your arm and you could verify that an actual trigger went off, time-stamped when it went off, that would satisfy me personally. That's not to say that you're legally permitted to, but it would satisfy me. And I would say, I'm cool with that.
Discretion.
But that's not to say that you would get that with everybody. Because technically, touching it is using it. And, moving along. I saw a Jetta with sticks and paint cans and random things hanging off sticks. Okay. I don't know where to go with this. Secured things that are securely attached to the vehicle, like that's a really weird thing to have on a vehicle as it's driving by. If it was securely fashioned with rated means of attachment. If it was string holding it on, that would be, I would say that's something that I would pull them over for and likely charge them with for because sticks aren't like, how did they affix the sticks? Fix the sticks. Probably not cool.
Random things hanging off the sticks.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to say that I'd probably pull them over and charge them. I'd love to see a photo if you had a photo from your dash cam, not from your phone.
Unless you're the passenger.
Unless you're the passenger. What is this? What if my car got hit by a vehicle with unreadable plates and they ran off? And am I SOL? Are you the sun? Soul is the sun. I got you. So if we cannot identify the vehicle and they fail to remain, then your insurance company would cover you because there'd be nobody to provide as the other party in the claim. You'd probably be paying your deductible. If you had dash camera footage, you may not be, because you'd be able to clearly identify that it's not you who caused it, I'm assuming. But the problem is that even if we did identify them, chances are they're driving without insurance. Like, there's a reason they ran. No insurance, impaired driving. So
Fear.
People
Fight or flight at times.
There is, but those people usually pull over and come back. And if you come back, yeah, you failed to remain immediately, but you came back, you're probably not going to run into problems. We understand the concept of fight or flight. But if you take off and keep going, you got problems. And we do look for you. Often we find you. Speaking of which, if you go to Traffic Services or actually, Traffic Services retweeted it. So if you go to Traffic Services, you can see a motorcycle that struck a police officer over the weekend and then fled. And we're looking to identify that particular individual. So if you have information related to that particular individual, please call police at 416-808-1900. That's the Traffic Services number, and you can then speak to an investigator. Is he the noob?
Wow. Like in this... Oh, 100%. Absolutely. And policing? Absolutely not. But here? Oh,
well,
absolutely.
you look like a 25-year-old new recruit.
Yeah. It's the bald head that gives it away. I had hair when I came onto this job.
Yeah.
I actually did.
I had some.
Yeah, I did actually.
Brandon's Liz says to Brandon, it's a question too. There's a question for Brandon. I am confused. Would it not be great to carry a lightsaber in place of a nightstick?
We don't carry nightsticks, though.
I did. When I got on as an auxiliary, I still had a nightstick, a straight stick.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be cool if you could wrap that so it looked like a lightsaber? That would have been the best.
Maybe back then. I can only imagine video now. If I was utilizing it in its proper purpose. But the sound effects people would add to it afterwards would probably be awesome.
Do you remember Lightsaber Kid or Star Wars Kid?
Oh, I feel for him.
But I thought that was, I cry, I laugh so hard. So, yes, I wonder where he is now. Still in the. Do you know the story behind that? Like he borrowed the school recorder, recorded that, handed it back without erasing the tape, and that's how that all got out. That's my understanding. Basharat Ali, my friend from Punjab, Pakistan, says, "Morning, Sir Sean. Saddened to know about your retirement. You're still looking fit enough to serve more. Anyhow, best of luck for upcoming days. Always be happy. Stay blessed." Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate the well wishes. I'm getting so much love. I posted a video saying that I'm leaving the service, and it's just been an amazing response of people who will apparently miss me on the channel. So I'll have to make a guest appearance once in a while.
I'm just going to get a large cutout of him in the background.
Yes, standy.
And, yeah, he'll be here every day. Don't worry about it.
Akela says, check out the Theory Sabers. I don't know what Theory Sabers
Theory Sabers, it's a brand. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm confused about the brands. There's so many of them, but yeah. Thank you.
And Akela is, I don't know if he's challenging you to a duel, but he wants to know if you've thought of saber dueling.
I would never damage one of my sabers. I'd have to get a dueling saber.
Let's see here. Let's see here. I don't know what the context of the statement is, but Joshua says, kiss and ride is a parking lot instead of a dropping and fetching passengers. No driver is parked. I mean, we have one at Finch. I think it's a great concept. You drive in, you drive out. I've utilized the kiss and ride on a regular basis when I was a person who kissed and rode.
So I had a couple of schools that used to have a kiss and ride. So they'd have like the roundabout, and they'd have several staff out there to ensure that you kept moving, like that people don't stop, park their car. And it's also something we used to use with the school safety patroller program. So
We have a question about enforcing laws in Vancouver or other parts of the country. As police officers sworn in the province of Ontario, our jurisdiction or our authority ends as police officers at the end of the border of Ontario into the next province. Unless we are, and we sometimes are for special events, sworn in with the RCMP to be able to extend our authority elsewhere.
yeah, because we've helped out in larger events, like when we hosted the Olympics in Vancouver in 2010. We had Toronto police officers there. You had police officers from across the country. They're still enforcing it, especially criminal code. Criminal code is criminal code across this country. However, the Highway Traffic Act is a very different thing. So the Highway Traffic Act is different in each province.
But we all have citizens' powers, and we would be able to utilize those powers because we have the knowledge to support them. We'd be able to utilize those without being sworn anywhere. So if I was on vacation in Vancouver and I saw someone conducting themselves in such a way that they were to be breaking the criminal code and it was an indictable offense or a dual, what is it called? Dual procedure.
Yes.
Then I could effect an arrest and then deliver them forthwith to a police officer.
Yeah, it's not my top priority when I'm on vacation.
Chances are I wouldn't be. Listen, there are things that I've seen
pretty
here.
egregious right now.
So another situation, I sometimes calling the police is the best thing, like the actual police that are there to do the police work. Because I had a situation this weekend where I'm with my wife and kids, and I saw something that if I would have intervened, it would have become a situation where my kids would be put in danger. So calling 911 is where it ends for me. Being the best witness I can be. What is this? Can I cross the U.S. border after finishing diversion program? I don't know how that works. Is diversion in place of conviction? So then maybe. That would be a great question for your lawyer. And I wish I can give you better advice. I just don't know the answer to that. If you don't have a criminal conviction, you probably would be okay. But diversion is usually in lieu of. Like, complete this thing, and then if you complete this program, then we'll give you a discharge. But if you don't complete it, then we're going to convict you type thing. So it's been a long time since I was a court officer, and I don't remember the details surrounding diversion.
But thank you, meow meow.
Yes. I like questions. Whether I can answer them or not, I love the questions that are unique and have us talking about stuff we don't always talk about.
When I hear the name meow meow, I go back to Starship Troopers. And
Meow?
the cat. Do you remember?
Right, meow?
Meow.
Good morning, officers. Good morning to you, TikToker. Akil, if he comes on Wednesday, I guess I don't know if he's dueling you on Wednesday wearing a flight suit or if he's just attending in his flight suit. Either way, very cool. Hey, the Star Wars cop was my school cop.
Hey. Wow, that's a throwback. It's been a long time since I've been in schools, but that's awesome. It's always interesting to me to bump into people who recognize me as their
school resource guy.
Yeah,
very cool.
I was also a community school liaison, so I worked high schools for a number of years, and then I worked elementary schools for a number of years. And then you see the transition of those kids who you had in elementary school now go on to high school.
That's how it usually happens, right?
Yeah. Usually.
Good morning. That's Carl Johnson who wants to know, can I work for parking enforcement? I'm not a PR nor a citizen. So if you have the lawful authority to work in Ontario or in Canada, then you would be eligible to take a job other than that of a police officer. You don't need your PR status or citizenship unless you're trying to become a police officer.
We look forward to having you apply, Carl.
Yes, and speaking of which, that's a great opportunity for us to chat about employment. See, we're gonna do the screen share thing. I'm gonna do the
Sean gets 10% of your first paycheck for every new recruit civilian. There's a kickback to him.
Yeah.
So
actually, I actually referred someone when I went through. So I was a court supervisor before I became a police officer, and I referred somebody in my class, to become a member. He was hired in my class. I got 4 hours.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
They don't do that anymore?
I don't think so. They haven't done that in a number of years. But yes, there used to be a thank you. Because the idea was you could vouch for this person. They were going to be a good employee. So, yeah.
Well, hey.
You're a great employee, so we want to hire more people like you. And, yeah.
It didn't go so well, and somebody... Yeah.
I have no idea.
Just refer everybody.
Yeah.
I meet you. You want to be a cop? Hey, let me put a piece of paper on you. This website is accessible by going to tps.ca/careers. And when you get there, you see the smiling faces of happy people who currently work for the Toronto Police Service, or used to when the picture was taken. I don't know if they're still
I was going to say.
I could be on that website. Now, if you are interested in police constable, go read about being a police constable because there's information on how to become, what you need to know, the requirements and such. And then there's a big old button that says apply now, which is a useful button if, in fact, you want to become a police officer. There's also special constable parking enforcement officer, which I believe what you were just asking about. There's Aaron, and still looks happy. See, it's not. And then there's probably a quote from somebody. See, because I see the big quotes. Things you should know. Here's the big thing about things you should know. You should know these things before you start asking questions of the recruiters, because if you don't, you will be wasting their time, and they'll be like, why didn't you look it up? If you're looking for a wonderful opportunity in volunteering, auxiliary officer is truly how I started with the service. I was there and then became a court officer the same year, and great way to volunteer. You've never had a volunteer experience quite like that. But this is the one that I always look forward to because it's the one that changes civilian roles. You don't have to wear a police uniform in order to serve your community. Maybe you want to do it in an office position. And they are looking for someone, an analyst in people and culture, a security coordinator, interesting, pension and benefit analyst, senior pension analyst, and communication operator. My favorite on this list, of course, is communication operator, because they're the people who answer the phone and take your call when you are in need. They're also the people who dispatch police officers to go and actually help you. They are the ones who don't get enough credit, and it's a tough job. So if you're looking for a challenge, this is a good way to go.
100%. Communication, 100%. 911 call takers are incredible folks. So.
Truly. And they're the reason things happen. Because if they were not there, we'd just drive around aimlessly looking for things to eat. Yes. Okay. Let's see here. There was a great question. It was a follow-up to your school thing. This is where you're going to offend them for remembering or not remembering them. Where is this? Do you remember Romero High School?
Absolutely. That was one of my favorite high schools. Romero Raiders, obviously. I still to this day use Romero high school students to volunteer my bike rodeos. And many of those students, I would say on average, more than 50% of them had participated in the bike rodeo growing up. Yes, I've been doing a bike rodeo program for well over a decade. And yes, Romero Raiders. And I will tell you, if you ever ask anyone about, now it's called St. Oscar Romero, its name's changed. It's a fantastic high school. It's a high school with a lot of heart, a lot of great staff.
Sweet. Can I be pulled over for bright lights under my truck? I'm the same person who asked about, could you get a ticket for it earlier? So you can get pulled over for any reason, and those include the basics for whether your lights are on or off or what have you, to check your license, to check your insurance, to check your sobriety, to check the fitness of your vehicle. And if you have bright lights, that's an offense potentially, so you could also be pulled over for that. And a lot of people, excuse me, as I go look for somebody to mute. Let's see, I wonder why that didn't get automatically filtered. Anyway, it's not that important. Let's see here. We have traffic moderator, by the way. Thank you to the moderator who's moderating this magical episode. You moderate well. Oh, here's a great question to talk about while I look for other questions. Can we use a phone when we stop at a red signal, such as a location?
Things that make you go,
You are still driving your motor vehicle when you stop, unless you are in a legal parking spot, whether it be on road or off on private property. If you are legally parked, then you can use your phone. But if you are at a red light, that is not a legal parking spot.
What if I pull over to the curb and use it?
If it's not a no stopping or no parking or no standing sign, then you could.
What if I pulled over on a shoulder on the highway?
You cannot legally park on the shoulder except for an emergency purpose.
Throwing these all out there.
I appreciate these.
We're covering those bases.
It's good to know, because I can't tell you how many people I pull over and see, or I see pulled over on the highway, and they're just yapping on the phone. Now, if they're yapping on the phone because their phone is disabled, I understand. But if they pulled over to call mom to find out about dinner, that is an inappropriate use. Now, there is a time that a civilian can use a phone while they're driving.
Call 911.
Call 911. That's a thing. We talked about this. Okay, scrolling down. North Vancouver RCMP. Good morning, folks. Your favorite West Coast fans here. We're going to miss hearing you, Sean. Hope retirement treats you well. I'd like to get you on the show this week if you're available. I got your message. I'm trying to coordinate that. Let's make it happen this week, and we'll get you an online guest so we can show you how to configure the live stream
That
Make
would
it
great.
happen.
That would be great. North Vancouver. I guess you don't like my voice.
Well, no, you're there. It's all of us on the camera.
It's cool.
It's cool. Totally cool.
We'll get those South Vancouver RCMP guys because they like my voice.
Yes. Let's see here. We got Yvette, who says, Alberta resident student going to Toronto for school. Can I drive there for 18 months? Well, Ontario has different rules than other provinces, and you have to apply for an Ontario driver's license after becoming a resident here, even if it's for 18 months. So a year and a half is still, you're a resident here. You have to apply for an Ontario license, and you can do that by trading your Alberta license in, and you can then get your Alberta license back when you go back. But that's the thing. Once you're here, and if you continue to drive as a resident on your Alberta license, because temporarily you could, we will eventually stop accepting it. It's a problem. Are you bringing your own car? Because you have to license your car here, or register your vehicle after 30 days of becoming a resident. And students are residents. That's what I'm getting at.
You know what? Chances are you're never going to go back to Alberta once you've been in Toronto.
Because
anyways.
it's that much better than Alberta. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, you're coming from a province and you're referring to the city of Toronto. You're going to be like, wow, Toronto's everything.
Is it the same number of people in the province as it is in the city?
I can't actually speak to
I don't
Alberta's
know.
population,
I'm
but it's probably not too far. Don't get me wrong. I've heard wonderful things about Alberta for the 4 months of the year where you're thawing out. It's fantastic.
Well,
I'm just kidding, Alberta.
So my buddy's in Brooks, Alberta, and he's with the city of Brooks, and he's a civilian. He's a community constable, so he doesn't carry a firearm, but he does vehicle stops, which I find shocking, but he's awesome, and he has a beard, so he's super cool.
Oh, you vouch for him right away.
But he also has a cowboy hat. It's part of his uniform hat. Logan Grant, if you're around, you got to be on the show this week too. Why is it illegal to ride bikes on sidewalk? Because having bikes on the road causes so much more. Or what?
More what? More advantage to those who are supposed to be using the sidewalk? I don't know, pedestrians, people, walking their pets, pushing a stroller, all those safe things that reason why your bike should be on the road and not on the sidewalk.
But you can ride on the sidewalk.
If you're under 14.
Under 14 years old. Yeah.
If you're a kid. Right.
Where we wouldn't want to put you in that situation to be on the road, totally. But otherwise, we need to make sure that everybody's safe, and bicycles are vehicles.
Yeah,
now, if you're coming from the perspective of the motorist, I also hear you, because sometimes the cyclists don't do safe things, and they make it unsafe for themselves by putting themselves in front of you. Sometimes.
Potentially, but we have, especially in the city of Toronto, we have so many bike lanes and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It is far more to your advantage to be in your own bike path as opposed to being on the sidewalk. And I'll be honest with you, my own personal experience, I don't like when a cyclist all of a sudden comes up on me. So please make sure you have a bell.
Don't scare the people.
Yeah,
or horses.
Ring that bell so that you attract that attention. Bell, horn, or if you're going to really look into the HTA, you can have a gong. Now, if you're going to have a gong in your bike, please send a picture to the show because we want to see your gong.
Yes.
As you're hitting it as you ride by, that would be awesome.
I will be posting a picture that ChatGPT made of my gong bike. I asked ChatGPT to create a gong for my bike, and traffic services. Actually, I'll put it on Voice Over Cop because it really shouldn't be on traffic services. Go to Voice Over Cop on X, and I will post the picture there. I'll also even put it on Instagram with Voice Over Cop, and I'll tag you on it.
Well, thank you.
Okay. The Star Wars Cop on Instagram and Star Wars Cop on X.
X
for him. Okay. Why do remote Ontario roads have signs that say "End of Emergency Services"? I've never been that far into remote places that say that. I'm guessing that means that no one's coming to help you.
Are you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Being that I've never been remote enough to see that, I'm just assuming that there's nobody there to help you if something
Do you
goes
even
wrong.
have cell phone service out there? Like if you're going that far out?
Satellite phone, maybe.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. Can a child sit in the front seat of a classic car with proper stock seatbelts? So, the requirements are this. Is this your? I mean, we cringe because it's a bad day at the office if something goes wrong. But here's the deal: if you're transporting a child with a vehicle that is enabled or set up with seatbelts, and that means you should be including a child safety restraint if the child requires one. Now, here's the funny thing: if the vehicle was manufactured before '74, when I think seatbelts came into play, they don't require seatbelts, and I wouldn't put children in them. I just wouldn't put children in that car because I care about child safety. I understand that it's cool factor and maybe around the parking lot type thing, but I would feel weird driving, and I do feel weird because I drive the '57 Chevy here, or at least used to. So what I'm getting at is, could you? Depends. But if there are seatbelts there, then you can install a child safety restraint if they require one by law, and then you would be required to. Now, when can a child sit without a child safety restraint? If they're 8 years old, 80 pounds, or 4'9", that is when you no longer require a booster. But you have to be in the right size and whatnot until then. So, and front seat is not the best choice.
They only need to meet one of that 3 criteria.
Yes.
Not all 3. They need to meet one of them. But I would tell you, don't put your child, and I guess we can define what child is, but I would say a small kid, don't put them in the front seat. That airbag doesn't know any different.
Well, there's no airbag in a classic car,
yes,
which is another reason not to be in the front.
For also other folks who might be thinking,
14 years is when we want you to wait till the child is 14 years old before they should sit in the front seat, ideally. I know it's hard. Back seat is best until 14, given the option. If there is no back seat, put the seat to the farthest back you can on the track, just to give them away from airbags if the car is enabled with airbags, in crumple zones, in hard pieces of plastic and wood grill.
I want to know what a classic car is. Are we talking kit, like Knight Rider classic?
That's an awesome classic. Oh, I would even buy the A-Team.
I say that because I saw them at a Fan Expo there. There was a kit makeup car.
We have a sergeant here who has kit. We talked about this, didn't we? Even with the signature from the Huff. Can the public report vehicles passing school buses while their stop signs and lights are on? You can report anything you like, 100%. If it's a big problem at a specific location, you can make a complaint about the location. You can make a complaint about specific vehicles. We likely can't lay charges, but an interesting thing, and I don't know if you're aware of this, the HTA in Ontario was amended, and just like you have red light or red light cameras and you have speed enforcement cameras, we also have the legislation to support school bus cameras. So if you were to pass a school bus, some places in Ontario are already experimenting with cameras that can issue tickets.
I like it.
I love that. I think we should have automated enforcement everywhere. I want every street stop sign and red light to have a camera, because I don't like when people break the law. Just saying. I'm like that. Let's see here. Are you able to stop people for speeding or tailgating while also driving? When you say you, do you mean you or do you mean me? Like the me or you? The way I deal with people who are tailgating me is I first make sure I'm in the right lane. And I mean the right lane. If I'm in the left lane and I'm not going with the flow of traffic, even if they're breaking the law, I move over to the right lane. And I don't go more than the speed limit. If someone continues to follow me, that might be aggressive driving. And I might be, if I'm concerned, calling 911 or driving to the closest police station. If they're truly following you off the highway, that's a very aggressive thing, and I'd be concerned. If you move over and they keep going, well, then you've dealt with it. If they follow you and it's something that getting off the highway isn't going to be resolving it because there's nowhere for you to go, I let off the gas just a little bit and I slow down a bit, and usually that gives them the signal to say, hey, pass us. Yeah.
When he says a little bit, he actually means he pulls his emergency brake.
No, I do not. That would be a brake check. That would be causing a collision. That would be stunt driving. Kidding. He's totally kidding. Just want to make sure we know we're kidding here.
This isn't the Fast and the Furious.
No. Can I? Yeah, I spin the car so I'm face to face, so I can give him some attitude.
I do not put my car in reverse. I honk my horn. And it doesn't try in reverse. Then I pull my emergency brake. I turn back around and I continue on my way.
The J turn.
That would be incredible to see.
It would not happen.
Realistic.
It would not happen.
A closed course in a movie theater where it's clearly AI doing everything.
Yes.
Okay, we got that covered.
Or on a track with stunt crew and an ambulance. Can I cruise around on a temp plate? A temporary plate gives you 10 days. It's not really intended for you to cruise around. It's intended for you to have the opportunity to transport your vehicle to the mechanic to be safety, to then go and finalize your registration process.
And yet, so many people still drive it around.
Well, during COVID, people had a temp plate and had it for 2 years. It was amazing how much mileage they got on that plate. But not appropriate, not the way it's intended. And some people renew their temp plate a couple times. if you
Mechanics out of town, they're on vacation.
and there's no other mechanic that could possibly look and maybe you know your
They got
mechanic.
their favorite guy. That's my guy. He's Putty. Putty's the only one who can touch my car.
Right, and that's the guy who signs it without looking at it, right? Yeah. How is it legal? Hang on. Did I press it? I pressed it. How is it legal for golf carts to sell alcohol while everyone is driving a golf cart?
How's it legal for golf courses to sell alcohol?
Well, the driver of a golf cart, if they are under the influence of alcohol, is eligible for impaired driving charges. It's a motor vehicle under the Criminal Code of Canada.
So golf courses should employ maybe a pay duty officer who goes out and enforces the law.
Breath checks on everyone all the time, constantly. Every time you want to start the golf cart, I'm not a golfer, so I just make fun of golfers.
That would be awesome. Your resident police officer here. I'm just going to go around and check on golf. Yeah.
Got the machine right there.
That'd be awesome. Can you imagine that? That would be ridiculous, but I would love it.
The truth is that while it's probably rarely enforced, if ever, it probably is only enforced when there's something that goes wrong, which isn't the best thing. It should be a thing that people understand and respect. Golf carts or golf courses aren't just a place to go and drink, which some people who don't know how to golf treat it as. But there's some great videos of people messing up on the golf course, like crashing horribly because they might be under the influence. And charge them, 100%. Noah says, wait, is this live ending after Thursday because this guy is retiring, or is someone taking over?
Sorry, no. I'm not just a pretty face.
It's not. Well, there's two things. One, I am still on the internet. I'm not going anywhere. My personal account is mine. VoiceOver Cop is where I can be reached. If you have questions, and I know that you're going to be spinning things. I do this a lot. Like I come in every day, and this is part of my daily duties. You have many other duties, and because of that, it will probably scale down to a less frequent show. So be prepared. And in the time to get them up to speed, I'm here. So while things are quiet on this channel, because it might be some time until it gets going, feel free to go to VoiceOver Cop, reach out to me there. Happy to do it. I'll probably even do some live streams now and again because I'll be bored as a guy who doesn't work a regular job.
But no, I look forward to continuing having you watch. We're going to do like Christmas special. I'm looking into maybe having Mariah Carey come in.
No kidding. She's available?
Yeah, and sing for us live on this show. I'm not
He has a different sense of humor than I do. You'll notice that. Like, so starting now, understand he is joking. Mariah Carey don't care about us. Well, maybe she does. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Why am I judging? I shouldn't judge her.
I'm going to DM her right now. I'm going to get Taylor Swift to come on in November.
Listen, if you get Swift to be here, I'll even show up for that live stream. I don't know. I've never seen her videos. Actually, I don't think I've seen
Miss Swift. If you somehow hear this or hear about this, please reach out to my people. My people being my DMs.
Oh, your DMs.
I don't have people, but that would be fantastic. Just so I can prove Sean that I was able to get you on. Be excellent.
So I keep my shotgun in my truck under the backseat with a trigger lock. Is it legal? So interesting conversation because Runkle the Bailey is a lawyer that I watch. I believe he unpacked someone who was charged and I assume convicted for storing it in their vehicle. You can transport it in your vehicle. It's an unrestricted firearm. If you're properly licensed, you have proper legal ownership of it. Transporting it there is one thing. Storing it there is another. And someone who stored it there and I think had them stolen out of the car got charged.
So don't do it, poor boy.
I would say don't do that. I'm not. I'm an avid shooter, but I'm not a firearms law expert. I would point you to the Runkle the Bailey YouTube page. I think his stuff is very, very interesting. So check him out. But don't be storing firearms in weapons in your car. What is this? Elliot says, "Hi guys. Put aside the safety aspect, but is it explicitly illegal to drive with a dog on your lap?" Yes. It's not specifically legal because there's no dog on lap charge. However, it's careless driving and drive whilst crowded. It actually says drive while crowded. I like whilst is a better word. But if you have your dog on your lap, I'm going to pull you over and charge you with careless and or drive while crowded. You cannot operate your motor vehicle with a fluffy poodle on your lap. It's just not happening. You're distracted by them. They should be crated or tethered in the back seat, that's where dogs or cats or parrots go. Like I've seen everything. I've also seen people eating cereal, and I've seen dumplings. I've seen everything being consumed. All of those things are careless driving. And when the airbag deploys, Fluffy is going to be less fluffy.
Fluffy becomes a projectile.
Well, in a collision, period, dogs and everything, even your backpack with school books, when you hit that brake pedal or you get hit, that 80-pound bag of school education is going to come flying at you. If it hits you in the head, you're probably going to be knocked unconscious. Just saying. Everything in your car, any kind of stuff and things other than animals should go in the trunk. You should have nothing in the inside of your cabin if you can avoid it. And you should secure loose items. So putting your backpack, if you insist on having it in the car, put it in the back seat, put the seatbelt through the loops. Prevent it from hitting you in the event of a collision. Just saying. Let's see here. Boom, ba-doo. Okay, we put that aside. Are you allowed to pass a car using the merging lane? So you're behind a car and you want to use the on-ramp to the highway to cut out and then cut back in to get 3 car lengths ahead? Is that what I'm hearing? Someone's like doing something in the building above us, which is the roof. There's nothing above us. Just saying. Some noises. If you hear it, that's what it is. Someone's like dancing on our studio. So the answer...
I didn't hear it at all. I think you're just hearing things.
Cleaners. That's the cleaners. Moderator says it's the cleaners.
Oh.
They're cleaning the roof.
Okay.
So it's not the appropriate use. You could be driving off roadway if you cover any area that you're on the shoulder for purposes of driving. And I'm assuming you're talking about... What else could you be talking about? I'm trying to think. Give us an example. You're talking about a 400 series highway.
It needs more detail.
We're speculating. Like, is there a merging lane? Like, one thing I will tell you is people should not be getting on the highway and immediately trying to force themselves into the first spot they see when there's a kilometer of merge lane ahead of you. Use the whole bloody merge lane. Then people who are trying to pass have no opportunity.
But that irritates so many people that they, you went to the front of the line.
It's not a frickin' Timmy's line. We're not butting. It is the appropriate use of that lane. Zipper. Everyone goes to the end. 1-1-1. Every other car gets through, and everyone moves. When people start playing these games where they block the lane and all sorts of mishigas.
I witnessed that yesterday leaving Fan Expo. I'm like, really? You just can't let me in? Nope. You got to put your car 2 inches away from the car in front of me. I'm like, okay, good luck to you. All the best. I eventually got in front of them anyways.
I love it. Everyone's being a douchebag on the road. Okay. Let's see here. Good morning, officers. If the phone is on a dash mount and doing a video calls, any ticket for that? Yeah. You can't be in a video call. We've talked about this. It's because you're here. Everyone wants to talk about video calls because you're here.
I don't know, because I've probably been in a few meetings where I've seen, not myself, others. Because I would never drive while I was working. I would have been stationary somewhere because I'm supposed to be in the office. And not taking calls while I'm driving. But do I see it? Have I been witness to it before? Yeah, and I wouldn't have known this.
I've pulled people over for it many times. In fact, one time I was at near Finch Court when it was 1000 Finch.
Yeah.
Allness? I think it was Allness. And I pull up in whatever car I was driving. It was a clean roof enforcement car. And I actually got out of the car. I parked beside them at the red light, got out, tapped on the window, and they were on a video call in their lap. Now, it wasn't mounted. You're talking about...
different.
Yeah. Still, it's a video call.
No, I get it.
Both of them. But I love it. The person on the call saw me before the person in the car driving saw me. That's how out to lunch they were.
That's bad.
Yeah. So 100%.
So if it's sitting on my dash and I'm driving forward, I can't. What if it's a blank screen?
Mounted is the only time the phone can be in use, and it can only display a lock screen or a telephone answered screen, or GPS in GPS mode. So if it's in anything else, you have to be in audio mode only. No video call.
Okay.
Period.
It's going to be in the audio. Okay.
Audio only mode.
Those are the meetings I'm in.
In my Tesla, can I touch and look at my screen while driving? Navigation, audio, AC system. Yes, there is an exemption for your infotainment system, even if that infotainment system is, discussing stuff. You can't be watching movies on it. Some people hack them or have the ability to watch movies. That's obviously not allowed. But if you are adjusting your seat's temperature, running your vehicle, you can do that. If you're so engrossed in that screen that it causes a problem that you cannot safely operate your motor vehicle, then you're looking at careless driving. You get a charge for that. In fact, careless driving was the more serious offense back in the day. So if you were so engrossed in in doing anything, drinking your water bottle to the point where you're all over the place, it's careless driving. Well, cell phone use was careless driving. And then what happened was they released this much lesser fine and offense, $125
Yep.
for distracted driving. It was supposed to be less than the 6-point ticket of careless, but then people didn't get the message, so they made it $175. I think it went to go 125 to 175, or was there a 150 break? Either way, they increased it, and then eventually it went up to the $615, 3 demerit points, and 3-day suspension on conviction, and I think it's then 7-day suspension the second time you're convicted. I think they're going to get to the point where they do the same as stunt, and they take your license for 30 days and take your car for 14. I think that's where we're going with this. I'm just speculating. Do you have to pull over for an interlock rolling test, or can you blow at a stop sign or light? You do not need to pull over for an interlock rolling test. And for anyone who doesn't know what interlock, it means that if someone is convicted for impaired operation offenses and is on that conviction, they have a 1-year prohibition or disqualification, and it also comes with a 1-year additional prohibition, but it's worded differently. You can skip the second year if you qualify and agree for an interlock program, which allows you to install a dash-mounted or Bluetooth-enabled, basically breathalyzer. So to start the car, you got to blow into it and provide no alcohol. And then randomly throughout your drive, you have to do the same. Lots of people who got hair dryers and tried they've made the equipment quite good, so it's hard to fake it. But yeah, you don't have to pull over for that, from my understanding anyway. It's not a handheld communication device. What else can we tell you about that? Anything else to add to that?
No, I think you covered most of it. So
Yeah, if there's something else, I haven't really spent a lot of time with that. It's bloody expensive. It's an expensive program to be involved in.
the interlock?
You pay for everything.
But it gives you the ability to drive again.
Which means you could earn
That privilege.
It is a privilege. Driving is a privilege. Do cyclists have to stop for stop signs or lights? Well, it depends on how they feel. No,
100%.
it is the law. It is the law.
Yeah. There's no rolling stop. You're supposed to come to a full and complete stop and
We
then
are
proceed.
not.
Just like a vehicle.
You
No
are a
different.
vehicle. It is.
Yeah.
You are absolutely a vehicle,
Just like
not a
anything
motor
else.
vehicle.
Yeah.
And you can be ticketed under the Highway Traffic Act, and you must identify under the Highway Traffic Act. We got to say that not everybody believes that they should stop. Many cyclists do not. Many are advocating for something called an Idaho stop.
The Idaho stop.
We're not in Ohio. We're not in Ohio, Idaho, New Jersey.
Stop.
It may work
Come
somewhere
to a
else.
full
Just
complete
stop.
stop. That's it.
People got really offended. I did a video talking about this, and then you know what they were most offended about when I said when talking about the Idaho stop? I said that most cyclists are looking for exercise, and by stopping and starting, they're getting more exercise.
I wouldn't say
That really offended people.
there is a small fraction of the cycling community who doesn't believe they should stop.
You just notice them most because they're the ones that you almost hit.
Correct. I also don't want cyclist hate email.
Oh no! The chief got a letter saying, "Don't let this guy represent the service." Because
So just
doesn't acknowledge.
Sean is here until Friday. So any emails you may have in regards to that,
complaints
whatever
should happen then.
please send them to him by Friday. And
Oh yeah, so I've turned off DMs. If you're still DMing the traffic services account on TikTok, know that it's going into a holding zone, and it probably won't get seen for a long time. If you do want to get me, go to Voice Over Cop, and you can absolutely message me there. Michael, how you doing, my friend? He says, will there be a Jerry segment this week? Last one was Sean and Jerry on News Talk 1010. I am going to message the producers on the phone after the show and ask them if they would like to do one on Wednesday, because I think that's a great idea. My last time on the air with Jerry as a police officer. Could be cool. We got Alex, who says, good morning, officers. Can you drive in the HOV lane by yourself if driving an electric vehicle? Sort of, sometimes depends. It's not just electric vehicles. It's plug-in hybrids. It's hydrogen-powered vehicles. And anything that they determine qualifies for a green plate. And it is the green plate that gives you the authority to be in the lane. If you have a blue plate, if you have a black plate, if you have a
Red.
chartreuse plate, if you have any plate other than a green plate,
yellow.
even if your vehicle qualifies for a green plate, doesn't mean you can use the lane. And the big problem is people say, well, I wanted a custom plate. I needed a vanity plate. Well, then your vanity plate will allow you to be in the lane with everybody else. So vanity plate does not come with the authority to use the lane.
What if you have diplomatic immunity?
I don't think they care about anything. I don't know. Just saying.
Just throwing it out there.
I still think they don't qualify. We talked about this one already. Can we use phone when we are stopped at locations? Yeah, we talked about that.
Yep.
What is this? How was denied? I think it was I was denied for the RCMP due to the eye acuity on the website 2020, both eyes open. Yes. So there's what's it called? Stereo acuity, which means that both of your eyes. So 2020 binocular is what we have. We have acuity for the purposes of depth perception. That's a thing. So if you don't have depth perception, that's a problem. I think it would prevent you from becoming a police officer with us. But you talk to a recruiter. I could be wrong. You also they also talk about color acuity. You cannot be colorblind. So you need binocular vision 2020. So you could have one eye that's better than the other and still pass. You could have and stereo acuity, depth perception is based on having the 3D, having both eyes functioning. But we've had people with one eye or having blindness in one eye still get on. So I would say talk to a recruiter. Every case is different. But you do have to be able to identify red-green color diversion. That's what color blindness is, right?
They give you the book. It's got a pattern on it. Can you see the number?
The fly, right? The numbers in the fly. I used to go to do you remember this? It was like a giant fly as a kid. I'm like, can you touch the wings? And you're sitting there going, Anyway, flashback. Is it okay to drive with a Montreal license in Toronto? As long as you live in Montreal and you're visiting us. If you are staying here long term, like anything that deems you to be a resident, well, after 30 days of being a resident, you must have changed the registration of your vehicle to Ontario, and your license within 60 days, you have to apply for a Ontario license. Okay, question about subs. I have subs in my car. Is there a sound limit as to how loud I may use them? I'm glad that you asked it that way. It is interesting. By the way, it's 11:15. We're already over. We usually do this for an hour, so we'll keep it going to 11:30, and then we're going to have to shut her down because we have stuff and things to do. Yes, that's what's going to happen. But I do love all the questions, and this is a great show. We have 150 people coming in across multiple platforms. The vast majority of them are coming through on X. 132 people on X. A handful on YouTube and
That
Kick.
doesn't track the TikTok.
No, TikTok doesn't show up there, but I can tell you that we have 110 people actively listening on TikTok right now. 114. Hey, if you don't already follow us on all the channels and follow Traffic Services. And you can also follow me at VoiceOver Cop. And I'm VoiceOver Cop everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, Kick.
You just got to rub that in.
Yeah.
Because I'm Star Wars Cop on Twitter, and then everywhere else I'm the Star Wars Cop on Instagram,
Hey,
Threads.
what can you do?
Nope, on TikTok I am Star Wars Cop.
As you should be.
Long story. I'll explain it when I'm by myself in the studio.
Everyone should go find Star Wars Cop on Instagram and report them for stealing his identity. It's
Correct.
an
Thank
inactive account. They're stealing. They're trying to be him. It's not him. He had to be the Star Wars Cop. But if you go and report Star Wars Cop and tell him that they're impersonating him, maybe he'll get his proper name back. Help him find his name. So how loud is the sound limit? How loud may you use it? If you're creating sound that is obnoxiously loud, that is too loud. If it's rumbling everyone's chest outside,
defined by
the individual officer who's observing, but truly it's unnecessary for the safe operation of your motor vehicle. If you don't need to be that loud, and truly, if I hear it outside of your vehicle, and it gets my attention, it's too loud. If your grandma hopefully hates the music and thinks it's too loud, that's too loud. If your grandma rocks out to the music with you, your grandma is not the appropriate person to ask their opinion. They might be a great, cool grandma, but they can't give you good advice when it comes to too loud. If you're shaking your vehicle to the rumble, if you're loosening every bolt in your vehicle, it's too loud. I have some great videos of cars that like people's hair just stands up when it's ridiculous. Yeah, you can get an unnecessary noise sound charge for stereo horn, muffler, whatever. What is this? How would I ensure I am not perceived as a threat to the officer if pulled over? I would suggest that you don't. First of all, you pull over safely and immediately. You turn on the interior light. You keep your hands visible. You don't make any sudden moves. You don't start reaching for your paperwork. You don't start rustling around. I don't say that you have to put your hands on the roof like some people in the States believe they have to do. But it is reasonable that if you are chill, you'll be perceived
some
as
places
chill.
in the state, they'll tell you to put your hands on your dashboard. Right.
Everywhere's different. I've never had a situation where I've walked up to a car and been like concerned. But if someone's really moving around in the car, or I've seen people trade places. That's always fun. That's because one person's licensed or impaired and the other one's not, or vice versa.
Those were usually my contractor vans.
I had a guy. So I was on duty, but traveling in plain clothes, having done a presentation when I was working out of the chief's office. I was coming back and I caught it on my dash cam, which was her personal vehicle. I watched a guy drive into a tree. I got to show you this video. It's phenomenal. He drove into a tree. And I then recorded them as I was calling 911. I recorded them trading places. Like I saw the driver get out, like they crawled across each other to get out of it was the most ridiculous thing ever. And then they assured me that the guy who was not driving was driving.
Of course.
But the funny thing is, when we investigated, the driver was licensed, and so was the other driver. And I thought I had them blow. I had a car come by and perform a breath test because I was convinced they have to be hiding something. Why would you do it? But they didn't have any. I think they actually intentionally hit the tree to have the car written off so that they can get out of the lease. That's what I think. So it was a Lexus. That's what I think happened. That's me putting my spin on it. It wasn't my case. I was just the initial person on scene. It just, I wasn't in the right office to investigate. What is the process to get a bench summons from What is this? What is the process to get bench summons from a HTA-related offense? The process is don't show up to court, and you'll get summoned to court for not appearing. Would you want to know what to do with it? Go to court. Because if you don't go to court, then, it's bad. They knock, they say come, then it becomes a bench warrant.
Some of these questions.
When are you guys hiring? We're hiring right now, and I've been hiring for quite some time. If you're interested in becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, whether it be as a police officer, civilian, uniformed, or otherwise, go to www.tps.ca/careers, because that's where you get the information you need to apply for the job. And we have lots of opportunities. And police services across Ontario and the world are hiring. Everyone's looking for police officers. We need people to do the good work that police officers do. We need good people to do that good work. All right, Richard from... Where are you from, Richard? Why did I know where you were from yesterday? Oh, it just escaped me. But anyway, does this... He says it in constantly. I know this. Richard is constantly on X talking to me. He's here. He supports the show, and I wish I could remember right now where you're. T starts with a T. Start with a T.
Toronto?
No.
Tottenham?
No. Where's it?
Thunder Bay?
Yeah, maybe no.
I'm running out of T's now.
Does school bus have to stop for railway crossing within a conventional traffic signal, or less than a bus length from? You're a bus driver, dude. I don't know. He is a bus driver, but I don't know. I've really not done enforcement with buses. I'm not a bus enforcement guy. Do you know?
The only bus I ever pulled over was a little black bus because it was running illegally, and he was picking up kids all the time and just stacking them in.
And he was not a bus, like a school bus?
No, it was literally a black bus.
Like he painted a school bus black?
Black. He bought himself a bus, and he'd go from building to building, picking up kids.
I appreciate the assistance. Were they getting paid? He was charging them?
Oh, yeah. He was charging them. And then I used to run MTO blitzes out of 12 Division. So we'd pull you over. And I remember being with an auxiliary. He's like, I don't think I've ever seen you so excited. I'm like, dude, I created this whole program to go after this one guy. And I finally caught up to him. He got like a dozen charges.
Oh, good.
And that bus was taken away from him. He couldn't afford to repair it. So then what they did was they rented a minivan. And they'd pick up kids in the minivan and overstack the minivan. And I'm like, this is brilliant. And then his wife complained to me, well, you had our bus taken away from you. I'm like, yes, because everything you're doing is illegal. Doesn't mean you continue the act. But hey. So not a traffic guy.
If Michael
but I still
is
think a lot of
here
traffic.
in the room, Michael, who is also a bus driver and knower of many things, Michael, you know the answer to this question. Please voice out and let us know. Can I drive without being on the insurance policy? If you live with a registered owner, if you're a licensed driver using the vehicle, they're going to want you on the insurance policy as an occasional driver. If you don't live with the owner, then you can borrow a car occasionally.
Like my dad can borrow my car.
If you don't live with your dad.
I'm a grown man.
But if he lives with you,
Possible.
It's
I guess
possible.
It's possible.
and that's not a law requirement. If you have a license and you're given permission to operate the car and the car has insurance on it, then we as the police pull you over, go, thank you for the proof of insurance, thank you for your license, on your way. Not against the law. But if you got into a crash, the insurance company would likely say, you're not getting paid. And you have to think about these things, because if you borrow mom's car, and let's say everything's expensive, so let's say it's a $50,000 car. That's pretty expensive. It's pretty cheap actually now for an average car. I don't know anything that's 50, like under 50 grand. So can you buy stuff for under 50 grand
Sure you can.
that I can fit into?
No.
There you go. That's why I only know about 50. So if it's so
We could fit you in. You're just not driving. We maybe put the back seats down and leave the trunk open, yeah, we'd be fine.
Like Bubba Smith in Police Academy, right? So if they just tear it out, that was a Honda. It's an '80s Honda Civic, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, so the deal is that if you where'd it go?
Sean wants to be called Hightower from now moving forward.
You know, it was one of my favorite movies of all time. What are we talking about? So they could say that we're not replacing the car. They'll pay the liability section. I think they would cover that because they have to. But they would say that we're not replacing the $50,000 car, which would be a bad day at the office if you relied on that car for stuff and things. Is it illegal? We had this question. I'm sure we had it last week. Is it illegal to stay in the driver's seat of a car parked waiting to sober up before driving? It's illegal. You could get charged. You could get criminally charged for doing that.
What if you don't have keys to the car?
If the keys are not available, you cannot have. So it's not that they're in your pocket. It's not that you put them under your seat. You didn't hide them from yourself. If you have the ability of saying, I think I'm good now, and getting out of that car, getting the seat from the keys from where you hid them, and driving away, you're eligible. The problem is, would we search the area for you'd have to get pretty creative, but it's conceivable. Like if you gave the keys to the barkeep, the bar manager, and said, do not give me these keys till tomorrow, and they put them in a lockbox and it was not available, then I think you'd have a reasonable defense. But that's legal stuff you talk to a lawyer about if you get arrested for it and you think because people do all sorts of things. It's not enough to sit in the back seat or in the passenger seat. That doesn't just get you out of the potential. It's still not a good idea. Because drunk people don't make good decisions. You might think you're drunk now, but in 10 minutes, you might, I feel so much better. I had a coffee. I had a little nap. I arrested a guy. He drank a 2-4 the night before. I arrested him 9 a.m. the next morning. He had slept for a number of hours, and he was still over the legal limit, and I arrested him. It was sad. He had his dog with him. I had to get the dog, not put down, but put into care.
Sounds like a classic country song.
Oh, what do you do? This is when I start getting into my toe miter. Yeah. All right, here we go. Don't think I've ever done that on the show. Okay. Is it legal?
I totally appreciate you right now, North Vancouver RCMP, talking about its voice. Really appreciate it. I closed my eyes there for a moment. Yeah, it was good. Felt it.
Specifically the toe miter?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's okay. It's not my Optimus Prime. Is it legal for a motorcycle to go around cars and jump to the front of the light? So this is where we start speaking about lane filtering versus lane splitting, and is it truly illegal? Well, it's not listed as lawful or unlawful. It's whether or not the action was careless, stunt, or dangerous, and it depends on the interpretations of the officer. I get the concept of scooting in a couple of car lengths so that if someone decides to look at their phone instead of look at the road and makes you part of the bumper in front of you, that's a reason I could articulate as a rider and as a driver to scoot up a couple of car lengths. I don't agree with going 16 car lengths to the front of the pack just so you can get to where you're going faster. There's no argument or legal.
We've all been there.
Have we?
We've all seen that motorcycle come from
heck yeah.
way back.
I saw a guy almost get smoked over the weekend because he didn't want to wait for the car turning left. And what he couldn't see that I could see was the car directly in front of the car waiting to turn left, who wanted to turn
To get out of the lane?
left as well. That guy almost got killed. Like, if it wasn't for the quick action of the guy on oncoming traffic waiting to turn left, he would have smoked him. Like, it was one that myself and my children went, "Argh!" Like, it was just all of us in unison. It was yeah. Motorcycles think they're pretty invincible. I can tell you from proof. You can get really, really hurt on a motorcycle, and I love motorcycles, and I say that. So there you go. On a closed private golf course, can you still be charged even though it's on private property? Yeah. Criminal is everywhere, baby. Criminal is Canada. Private property, closed, open, doesn't matter. If you are impaired driving on a golf cart, you are impaired driving on a golf cart, and it's a criminal offense.
11:28.
We're very close to the end. What do I do if I received a stunt summons involving my car, but someone else was driving it on the day of the incident? A stunt summons? And what I really want to know is, why does the wrong question living on my screen right now? See, look. That's so weird. Anyway, we're going to assume that everyone's seeing.
I just love the delay. I love watching my face back in replay there. Like,
What happened?
There it is, catching up now, 5 minutes later.
Weird. What if you do? What do you do? Well, you deal with it. If it wasn't you driving, you say who it was driving. Well, you would be charged personally. Maybe they were. There's something missing from your story. I don't know how you got stunned. If you got a 50 over on a red light camera, you need to go and answer to it as the owner responsibility. You may have been summoned because you own the car and it was for 50 over. But if you were truly stunt driving, then you would have been losing your car. And at the time that it was done by a police officer, they would have seized it, and they would have seized your license as well. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to scroll through looking for something magical. Is jaywalking illegal? There's no jaywalking charge. There's bylaws for
I thought it was named after a guy named Jay.
It's funny. Do you know the origins of Jay?
No.
It's a not so nice way. It's a British term.
Oh,
Apparently, it's like a loser or something like that effect. It's not nice.
is it loser? Loser walking illegal? Yes, it is.
Yeah, look it up. It's interesting, but it's not illegal specifically if you cross outside of a signalized intersection or crosswalk within a certain period of time against the light. That's a charge. But it's not the same thing. You're legally permitted to cross mid-block. It's just very dangerous. Most people don't survive it when they get hit by a car at that mid-block crossing. So, yeah.
But
There are
could you be
charges,
charged?
but it's not called jaywalking.
Yes.
Are you allowed to turn right from a center lane on a red light if it's for straight and right turns? Yes. If there are two right turn lanes, not a straight turn only, you can't turn from that lane if it's for straight through traffic only. But if you're getting off a highway and there's two right turn lanes, you can make a right turn from both of those lanes, either of those lanes. Don't use both of them. That would mean you're not in one lane or the other. But if your
vehicle's so large.
Well, that would be illegal because you can't be wider than the lanes. But
it's a Cybertruck.
It's very close then. But if you come to a complete stop, if it's not prohibited by sign, if it's safe to do so, then you turn to the appropriate lane. So if you're curb lane to curb lane, next one over to next one over. Good question. We haven't talked about that in a while. It's 11:30. Do you know where your children are? Mine are not here, and they're not supposed to be because I'm at work. Let's see here. I'm just looking for anything really magical. There are some here that we'd be going till 2 o'clock if I get through all these. Unfortunately, we can't do that. So I would suggest that you come back tomorrow when we do this again. But this question is a good question. Can I teach my kid to drive in a parking lot, a private parking lot? Well, driving instructors are not allowed to use school parking lots. I didn't know that they were restricted. I learned that some time ago. On private property, you do not require a driver's license, meaning that they could operate a motor vehicle on that private property, but you should take into consideration that your insurance would not cover you if they were unlicensed, and that could be bad.
I used to do it for a friend. I remember taking her to a private parking lot, and then she completely hopped the center island, and all I heard was my car scraping along. came home, found a leak.
Woo.
Thought it was a bad day. Realized, nope, it's just hot. Air conditioning, condensation.
Oh.
I'm so thankful because I came home. I was like, telling my dad, I'm like, I don't know what's going on with my car.
Oh,
I let so-and-so drive it.
bad.
Yeah, it was bad. I was much younger back then, too. I would never
Do silly things like that.
Yes.
What happens if you don't pay a red light ticker? A red light ticket, it means that you won't be able to renew your license plates. Now, that happens automatically, but if you have tickets and you don't pay, then they don't let you renew, which means your car won't no longer be drivable because you'll have a ticket preventing you from renewing. Your plates would be out of circulation. This is a standard question. Got a speeding ticket last November. Requested a court date. Haven't heard back yet. Do I keep waiting?
It's coming.
Yeah, it's a slow process. As long as you have been, I mean, you can certainly contact the courts and make sure that they know that you asked, because it would be bad otherwise, and you'd be convicted in your absence if they didn't get, they need to know. You could double check to make sure, just to put your mind at ease. But it's a slow process. How do I become a parking cop? You apply, tps.ca/careers. That's the starting point. Everything after that is up to you.
It's 11:32.
Yeah. Oh, last question then. Okay, and then we're doing the jokes. Sorry, guys, to anyone else who has questions, we got to go. Can your motorcycle plate be under the seat if it's still completely visible? Completely visible is a very interesting thing to say, because I can tell you that most of the people who put them under the seat, they're doing deletes of their appropriate mounting system, and oddly enough, when they're sitting on the motorcycle, it depresses the suspension and it's not so visible. If it's not clearly visible to the rear of the vehicle, you're not legally displaying it. And it must be illuminated to drive at night, which is also not being done in most cases. So it's probably going to be illegal. But I'd have to see the individual mounting system, as it were. Okay. Here we go. I got arrested for illegally downloading all of Wikipedia. I told them I could explain everything. I got to say, that's one of the better ones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where do people go to fight in a food court? I screwed that up. Where do people go to fight in a shopping mall? The food court.
You totally messed that one up.
I messed them up all the time. Right?
That was awesome.
Oh, okay. Is this the joke? Which one? Of me screwing up in the joke?
I love that.
What did two Jedi say when they walked into a hotel? One room for 2 nights, please. Oh, actually, that wasn't bad. Jedi Knights.
It was okay.
What vehicle did Yoda ride as a child?
It's not coming up on the screen.
I didn't press the button yet. I'm reading it.
I can't read that.
Oh, I get it.
Oh, okay, you're filtering it?
I'm filtering. What vehicle did Yoda ride as a child? A do-cycle, because there is no try. I like that.
It's good and bad at the same time. Yeah. It's terrible, but it's funny.
Okay, we got it all. We're done. We're over. We're finished for today anyway. It has been a slice. Thank you all for spending an hour and 36 minutes with us. We now have to do other stuff. Kyle says happy retirement. I'm not there yet. It's a little further. My last day will be Friday. It is.
Yeah, Kyle, I still got another 12 years. Don't rush it too early for me. Thanks.
You can go. You can go now too.
I could.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone can just stop coming to work. So you do your thing. Because in honor of me, leaving, creating a vacancy for more people to join the police, I will play a recruiting video, because it's the appropriate thing to do. So here is the Toronto Police recruiting video. See you tomorrow.
Yay.
Still loading. I said that too fast.
What?
Your future career starts with a vision. A vision of opportunities ahead, where you can see a path to a noble career, serving the city of Toronto. Where do you see yourself? Toronto Police Service. Apply today.